Hello again, my name is Stephanie Manley and this video is for my children's literature class at Living Hope Homeschool Co-op. And this week's story, I was going to read the week of March 17th of St. Patrick's Day, but that got postponed. So here I am reading it today, which actually works out well because it is Jamie O'Rourke and the Big Potato by Tomie dePaola, which I just found out a few days ago that Tomie dePaola has passed away from complications to his surgery. So it's a big loss for me. I've loved all of his books. I really encourage you to go check out any of Tomie dePaola's books. They're just absolute treasures. So anyway, this week is Jamie O'Rourke and the Big Potato. So this is an Irish story, and in it he refers to praties, which means potato in Ireland. So that's kind of an important note because they refer to praties a few times in this book. So I will find the first page here. There he is. Jamie O'Rourke. Jamie O'Rourke was the laziest man in all of Ireland. He would do anything to avoid working, especially if it had to do with growing potatoes. Jamie O'Rourke, his wife Aline would say, "We'll have nothing to eat this winter if you don't go out and dig up the praties." "Aw, the saints preserve us," Jamie would whine. "Me back's as sore as can be. Sure as I'm tellin' you, wife, you'll have to dig 'em up yourself. I'll break in two if I so much as get out of this bed." So Aline, who had done all the planting and watering and weeding anyhow, would go out to the tiny garden and fill up the smallest and dig up the smallest potatoes in Ireland, all because Jamie was too lazy to dig a larger garden and had no money to buy good potato seed. So you see here she is digging up very small potatoes. Poor Aline. Then poor Aline wrenched her back and was laid up in bed. Saint Bridget and Virgin Mary herself must have smiled on Aline O'Rourke, the village women said. Why, it's the first rest she's had since she married Jamie O'Rourke. With Aline in bed, Jamie began to worry. No Aline to dig meant no praties all winter, and no praties meant no food. "Ah, poor me," wailed Jamie. "I'll starve to death. I'd best go to church and confess to Father O'Malley. There's no tellin' how soon old Death'll be knockin' on me door." So even though it was midnight, Jamie set out for the church. He was about halfway down the hill when he heard singing and a tap, tap, tapping sound. "Sure I wouldn't be knowin'," Jamie whispered, "but I swear it's a leprechaun." And sure enough, sitting in a circle of ferns in the moonlight, was a leprechaun singing and hammering tiny nails into the heels of the fairy boots he was making. Jamie knew just what to do. He crept up and grabbed the little man by his coattails and held firm. "Let me go! Let me go!" the leprechaun shouted. "Not on your life," Jamie said. "Not until you show me where you keep your pot of gold." Now, everyone in Ireland knows that leprechauns make boots and dancing shoes for the fairies who pay for them with gold, and everyone knows that if you catch a leprechaun, he'll pay for his freedom with his pot of gold. But this leprechaun was cleverer than most. "Oh, please, Mr. Mortal Man," he pleaded. "I'm just startin' out makin' fairy shoes, and I only have 1 or 2 pieces of gold in my pot. Won't you take a wish instead?" "Why, what would I wish for?" Jamie asked. Me who's about to die of starvation because my wife is sick in bed and can't dig the praties for the winter. And they're such puny praties anyhow." "Well," said the leprechaun, reaching into his pocket, "you could wish for a bigger pratie in the world. You could wish for the biggest pratie in the world. It would last all winter, and you wouldn't have to dig anything more than plant, or you wouldn't have to do anything more than plant the seed and water it and wait." That sounded wonderful to Jamie. "Done!" he shouted, and as the leprechaun dropped the seed into Jamie's hand, Jamie let go of his coattails, and off that leprechaun scampered. When Aline heard what he had done, she was furious. "Jamie O'Rourke, you're not only the laziest man in Ireland, but a fool as well, giving up a pot of gold for a pratie seed. Well, I'm going to plant this seed and water it, and you'll see," Jamie said, and out he went. There she is, sick in bed. And faith, Aline did see. In no time at all, the biggest, finest potato plant had sprouted out of the ground, followed by the potato itself. It was so big it pushed up not only all the dirt in the garden, but the garden shed and the corner of the cottage as well. "Well, surely now it's ready to dig," Jamie said proudly. There it is, it's pushing up their house. He hoed all around it, but he couldn't dig that pratie out of the ground. He got a beam and a big rock and tried to pry it out. He pushed and he pushed, but it wouldn't budge. As he was pondering what to do, his neighbor passed by on his way to the village. He couldn't believe his eyes. He couldn't wait to tell everyone in the village what he had seen. And before you knew it, the hill up to Jamie's was filled with villagers coming to see the big potato. There they are. They're all looking. So there's his house is up there and the potato. And here's the road down here. They dug and they dug and they pushed and they shoved until the potato flew up out of its hole. It rolled down the hill faster and faster until it reached the bottom, where it bounced up high and came to a stop, wedged between the stone walls on either side of the road. What to do now? What are they going to do with that potato? "That pratie is so big that no one, no cart, nothing can get by it," the constable complained to Father O'Malley. "How's a body to get in or out of the village?" "What shall we do now?" the villagers wailed. Then they all looked at Jamie and said, "It's your pratie. You'll have to move it out of the way." "Well," Aline spoke up, "there's more than enough pratie for everyone. Why don't y'all take some?" So the villagers sawed and chopped and carted off huge pieces of potato while Jamie sat on the stone wall and watched. There they are. They're all digging and chopping, cutting off pieces of potato. All winter long, everyone had potato to eat and eat and eat until no one wanted to see or hear a potato again. Everybody's sick of potato. Look at, they've got mashed potatoes and boiled potatoes, baked potatoes. In the spring, Jamie said, "I saved a potato eye for a seed, and it's just about time to plant it." "Oh no!" the villagers all cried. "If you promise not to plant it, Jamie, we'll promise before St. Patrick and all the saints to see that you and Aline always have plenty to cook and eat. We don't want another giant pratie around here." Jamie smiled and agreed. What a perfect life for a lazy man. And so you see, darling Eileen, Jamie told her, I wasn't such a fool of that leprechaun after all. And Eileen had to admit that Jamie O'Rourke was right. And there's the leprechaun there, enjoying his gold. So that's the end. So I'll show you real quick the art project I did to go along with this book. It says Mrs. Manley's Treasures, so you can put your name there and your treasures. And then I just cut out pieces of yellow construction paper and put some of the things that I enjoy and love on my little craft there. So that's a fun little craft that you can do at home if you have black and yellow construction paper and a pen and some glue sticks. So, and I used a white crayon to write onto the black construction paper so you can see it. So hope you enjoyed the story today, and we will see you next week.